All right. Welcome, everyone, to episode 8 of the Engineering Evolved podcast. My name, as always, is Brandon E. Grant, and I'm here with my co host.
Pavel Krupa.
There we go, Pavel Krupa. So, we've done some pretty fun episodes. Last week's episode with Dr. Ezgi Akçınar was really, really fun to do. I liked that. If you haven't seen that episode, please go back and watch it. We talked again about managing stress, but we had a little twist on it with high performers. So that was a great episode for us. We talked about the importance of physical fitness. I believe that was episode either 6. I think that was 6. And today we're going to talk about nutrition, something that engineers generally don't talk about. I'm assuming it's still the same, but candy being passed around regularly, daily, another pizza party. What's been your experience with, have you ever talked to anybody in engineering, like in an engineering field, like in any of your jobs, about like the importance of nutrition?
I have not, actually. I have not. I have seen a lot of differences depending on the culture and the country you're in, since I had the chance to visit different continents, different countries. But I have not had a chance to speak with anyone regarding the culture habits regarding the eatings.
Got it.
I think it's kind of sad also, because I think I've seen people eating good, and I would like to know why. But actually, I've never thought about coming up towards someone and ask, "Hey, what do you eat? Like, what's your diet? Like, why do you do this?"
Right. So it's really interesting. So you just said something that triggered an idea, a thought. I have a story. I have no idea if there's any basis of truth behind it, but we'll talk about it. I have this story that most of the rest of the world believe that Americans eat way too much food. Is that an accurate assessment of what other people think about us?
I don't necessarily would say it's about the quantity, but more about the quality.
Right. Which
I would think of this. Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting subject. I had a family who I'm familiar with. They went to Europe, and they were over in Europe, and they were eating, like French cheese and French bread, and had no issues with it. But as soon as they got back to the United States, they had problems with cheese and with bread, with the cheese and with the gluten in the US. So I think there's definitely a different quality of food in the US for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a different quality of what's just generally available. But that is a larger topic.
Yeah.
Today's episode is called Fueling the Biological Machine. Now, I chose that title because as engineers, we know the value of putting the right fuel into our machines, right? If you've got a really nice car and it happens to be a ICE or a gas, you put the right octane fuel in there so that you get the best performance, right? If you're driving an EV, you can't really determine the electrons that go in there or the quality of the electrons that charge the battery. But if you're given the choice, you would want to use a electrical source that's more sustainable, right? So I mean, we have this idea, the right lube that goes into our grease joints, the right grease that goes in. We have the right fuel. As engineers, we are fully aware of the importance of putting the right fuel into a machine, which has me wonder why we are as we are as a culture, as the engineering culture, where nutrition and food and feeding the biological machine isn't a much larger topic, right?
Yep. That's true.
If I were to say today, you're going to have a celebratory party tomorrow where someone buys food, what's the top three likely foods that are going to be supplied by the company that you work with? What's the first one?
Probably pizza.
Pizza, right? Definitely pizza. Everyone likes pizza, but is pizza super healthy? No. What's the next one?
Like burgers, I would say.
Yeah. Cheeseburgers, some kind of burger sandwich shop, something like that. And the third one might be like a burritos thing, right?
Yeah.
Which I have a sweet, tender spot in my heart for burritos. But like, even insofar as the food that is provided, like when's the last time someone was like, hey, we're gonna get food for everybody. Everyone pick out your green smoothie from the smoothie shop, right? Everyone, we're going to go healthy. We're going to get Mad Greens, by the way, not sponsored, but would totally be if they were offering Mad Greens. We're going to pick out a salad and a pita so that we have a healthy dinner, right? Generally, the salad is the extra side on the side that gets thrown away at the end. Like, why do you think we don't talk about this more as an engineering culture? Like, why is this a subject that, because it's just super easy. Like, what are you eating to be healthy today? Like, that's not like a challenging topic of conversation.
Yeah. I think you're right. I would say that part of it comes from the fact that we are so task oriented and put so much effort and focus into the stuff that we do, that we don't focus too much on what we are and like what do we put inside our machines, let's say, so into ourselves,
right,
to make the tasks even better and more efficient, and live a little bit healthier and happier life. I think for many of us, the work overcomes the need of having like a healthy meal, and it's much easier and faster. So because we live in like a fast environment, to just get stuff from a food truck or something ready to go, than trying to prepare something ourselves. But here it comes the funny fact. Even though we can order something, we have all of the platforms that can supply food to us, and we can choose healthy options. But for some reason, many of us won't. And that's the question that you pointed. It's like, why? Is it because of the awareness, or is it because of our living habits, or is it just this that we don't know how food or how what we consume affect our body and affect our performance? Now, I would lean into the last option. I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
Right. So I have a problem with the awareness. To a degree, right? I could walk up to nearly any engineer, anybody in our culture, and be like, all right, here is a cheeseburger, and here is a ahi tuna bowl, right? Someone would probably be able to say one of those is healthier, right? Piece of pizza or a ahi tuna bowl or a poke bowl, right? Now, this is off the cuff. This is off the top of my head. But like the ability to understand healthy versus unhealthy, right? Cleaner versus not. If I say, hey, we're going to go get McDonald's or we're going to get, we're going to stop by, Mad Greens or the salad place and pick up something, everyone knows that McDonald's is probably not the healthier option, right?
Yeah.
Now, we have this idea that food is cheaper. The cheaper food is generally not the healthier option, which again, I think is backwards. But I struggle with the idea that it's an information standpoint. I think it's all about mindset still. I think that engineering culture in general has the knowledge and probably knows that it's a little better to eat healthier, but I don't think they recognize the tie-in between nutrition and the way their brain functions. I think it's important to tie everything back to most engineers that I've met. The value that they consider inside of themselves comes from the value they bring at work. It's the way they think. It's the way they process information. And if we're not talking about the importance of a limited sugar diet and high protein to fuel your brain the right way, if we're not talking about a lot of fiber and enough water, right? Water is a huge thing. We're not talking about the right ways to fuel your body, of which your brain is a part of, and how that positively impacts work, then it almost becomes a don't care variable, right?
Yeah. That's also true. But I wanted to just add something. So, and that's actually something that my wife. So overall, like I've never had issues with like selecting my food thanks to my wife. Like she has a master degrees in dietetics, so like she's pretty aware of like what food should be consumed, even though sometimes she has some of a disagreement of like what people are recommending globally, but she tries to find what's the best, and like she tries to dig in why is it.
Right.
So there's one thing I want to mention, because she's currently also studying and refreshing her knowledge, refreshing her diploma here in the US. And she does attend some of the classes, and she does attend the classes and where they speak about dietetics. And something that she was not aware of, that many people in here and also outside of the US do, is they do not read the labels. So what happens often is people choose healthy food that has the label of being healthy, but they do not read the label, or they do not understand, or they do not understand the label and what's inside
Right.
the ingredients. And that's very simple thing that should tell you straight away what is really inside that food.
Right. Tracking macros, right? Used to
Yeah.
be I had no idea what tracking macros was. I was like, what are macros? You know, and you need to track your food. Well, I don't want to track my food on a scale every day. Well, my wife, we have 2 kitchen scales now. My wife calls it my throne to macros, right?
Mm.
I know what I eat on pretty much an every meal basis. So with your wife being a nutritionist and doing what she's doing, like, do you have a nutrition plan? What is your nutrition plan, Pavel?
So here's the thing. We do not have per se a nutrition plan. We
Okay.
more of listen to our body. So this is like a general advice to anyone that's listening. It's super simple to understand what you should eat just by listening to your body. So let's say you ate a meal and you suddenly started to sneeze, or your eyes become itchy. It's very likely that what you've eaten is not something that your body liked. But the question is, do you recognize this? You might say, oh, yeah, it's just a flu, or like maybe I have an allergy for pollen or whatever else is outside. But then like
Right.
you do it once or twice and you realize, okay, probably that food do not should me the best because I have some reactions to it. So perhaps that's not what you should eat. Or let's say you eat something and then you feel sleepy or lazy, usually when you eat a lot of sugar. And again, it's monitoring your body and how your body absorbs the nutrients from the food and how does it process it. Like,
Right.
how do you feel the next day? Or sometimes even you might be eating something and nothing will happen until a week later or like few days later. So it's more of awareness than actually selecting your nutrition. Of course, we do not eat sugar, like we do not eat much of the gluten products. We do not eat too many of carbohydrates in general, but it's very hard to define a nutrition plan for one nutrition plan for everyone, because each of us is different. Like, it's more about knowing who we are, knowing how we process the food, and knowing how our body reacts to the food that we're eating. So
100%.
yeah, so when it comes to this, again, listening to what your body is saying, I would say that's the most important thing. And that's what like my wife told me. Like, she said, you don't see that you're sneezing, like you don't see that you're sleepy after what you're eating. And like I started slowly to realize, like, oh yeah, so I ate this, I don't feel too good. Or I have actually a very good example of a coffee, for example. I tend not to drink coffee now. I think I rather replace it with like some kind of tea or water.
Right.
However, what I've noticed is the quality of the coffee that we're drinking really, in my case, really affects how I feel. So
Okay.
we have also like a espresso machine at home, which we don't use now. But if I drink like a good quality coffee, I
Right.
feel okay afterwards. But if I drink the coffee that's like poor quality, I will feel like bloated right after, or maybe like few minutes
Huh.
after, or my breath would not smell as fresh. And like you can feel how the acid that's inside the coffee affects
Right.
me, and like how that quality affects how I feel. And again, that will
Right.
come back to tracing where that coffee came from. What are the ingredients? Like what methods was it prepared, and so on, so on, so on. But I
Right.
don't need to know what brand I drank. I feel that what I drank do not fit my needs.
Right.
So that's how we go with the products that we're eating.
Got it. But that requires a pretty intense level of body awareness, right?
Yes. I don't know if it's advanced, but it's just like after some time. So at the beginning, yeah, I was struggling to find those items. But once you got the trigger, you're like, okay, that's not good for me. It took me quite some time to understand this, but once you understand, it's very simple to follow.
Got it. Nice. So I think then I am on the other end of the spectrum from you. Now, I've gone through a lot of different eating nutrition plans. One of the first things I did, my wife and I, back in 2018, and this is when I stopped drinking alcohol. We did a Whole 30. We did 30 days of the Whole 30 plan, which is where you limit to the things that are least likely to be hypoallergenic or to create allergens in your body, to have negative reactions. So fruit, no cheese, no sugar, no bread. It was whole foods, and whole foods and no cheese, right? Limited amount. And what we really learned is kind of what you're talking about. If you follow the Whole 30 program, you do all this, stark elimination diet, but then you kind of add things back. Okay, add back in cheese. How does that affect everyone? Add back in bread. How does that affect everyone? Like everyone in our family, different people in our family had different reactions to different things. I react very poorly to sugar, just in general. I can tell when I'm off of it, and I can tell when I go back. My entire digestive tract gets really angry and upset. And so, like, you learn the way that your body reacts, but it requires a level of awareness and just an idea. And I think that a lot of engineers aren't anywhere even close to that.
Yeah.
So, one of the simple statements I have for how to take care of your body, right? Your body domain, addresses the last two subjects, right? Eat cleaner and sweat every day, right? If we as engineers, we as human beings really could just follow that simple rule, anchor onto that and make sure that that is how we're approaching our body, we would improve in our physical fitness, period. 95% of the planet would get better. And the 5% that wouldn't, those are probably the athletes who are, already at the top end, and that's fairly basic for them. But for most of us, eat cleaner and sweat every day. What does that mean? Well, it might mean as much as have one Twinkie, not two. Like, that's a start. Have one cheeseburger, not two. Have a cheeseburger instead of a cheeseburger and fries. Have air fried instead of deep fried. Have fries instead of cheese sticks. Have diet soda instead of soda. Like, wherever you're coming from, eat cleaner, and then always kind of work to develop and improve and continuously improve. That is important. And then sweat every day, right? We talked about that. I think one of the most underrated aspects of what we have as a diet, though, as a nutrition, like I said, is water. Have you ever heard of 75 Hard, the program?
I haven't.
So 75 Hard is a program that gained a lot of internet notoriety. For 75 days in a row, you follow a very specific set of rules. You eat according to a nutrition plan with no cheats. You drink a gallon of water daily. You read 10 minutes. You exercise twice. There's a lot of things. One of the biggest things I learned from it is the importance of water. I'm not perfect by any means, but I target a gallon of water a day. Why? Because I drank a gallon of water a day for 135 days in a row. It took me 135 days to finish the 75-day streak because I failed twice. I realized how dehydrated I was in general. I think most of us are walking around just plainly dehydrated, period. And how important it was. My skin cleared up. My organs worked better. My gastrointestinal tract worked better with water. My teeth were better. Like, everything gets better if you have enough water. It suppresses over consumption of food, because a lot of times when we're hungry, it's because we're actually thirsty. So we just try and shove things in our face and it doesn't work. So I think water is important. I'm on the other end of the spectrum with you, where I've eaten roughly the same 5 meals every day for 2 years. Last January, I started a nutrition plan to participate in a men's bodybuilding, a men's physique competition. And in that, set up with a nutritionist and a coach who we talked through, we worked it out, we figured out what the macros were, and it was eggs in the morning, 6 or 7. Sometimes it's whole eggs, sometimes it's eggs and eggs whites, but eggs in the morning with vegetables. Meals 2 and 4 are nuts, fruit, and protein. Meals 3 and 5 are roughly 6 ounces of protein, whether it's red meat or chicken, depends on what phase I'm in. Vegetables again for each of those, and then carbs in the form of rice, depending on what phase I'm in. But like the same basic format. I got up to the point where I was consuming and properly maintaining weight with the output, with the exercise and the output and the metabolism that I was building at the time, where I was consuming 3,300 calories a day and maintaining the weight because I was getting everything there and all my macronutrients, which is just protein, fat, and carbohydrates for people who aren't aware of that. All of those were sustained, but also were all of my micronutrients. Like I needed no supplements because everything was being fed by all of this whole food that I was eating on a regular basis. So I have followed a nutrition plan regularly for a really long time, and it's worked.
I think I would like to maybe share few general notes, like how how we do follow our diet, or how do we choose our foods. So maybe you can relate to that, and maybe the viewers can also share what they eat or like how they choose their food. But again, number one is, from our case, always looking at the label. And the case was, and I still believe the case is, the ingredients listed on the label or on the food comes from the highest percentage to the lowest. So basically, if you have something and sugar is number one, that means there is more sugar than any other ingredient in this food. So probably that's not the best food choice to choose. So
100%.
Reading the labels is like half of the success, because you agreed, and like I said, the healthy food has the label of healthy, but is it really healthy? That depends on like what you're putting into your body. I 100% agree with the hydration and the water. And like for those who would like to know, if you are hydrated enough, you can just take a look, like, is your mouth dry? How does your lip look? Is it like dry? Even if you go to the restroom, what's the color? Is it dark? Is it more watery? The more watery it is, the more hydrated you are. However, again, it's important what type of water you're drinking. Okay. So we do drink tap water, but we have a filter to filter out all of the bad stuff out of the water. So just to give you an example, like we do drink a lot of tea. So we used to boil the tea in the kettle, the electric kettle, and we used to do that just with the tap water before. And we always had a lot of calc at the bottom of the kettle after a month. And now we use the filter for over 2 years, and we never needed to clean the kettle. It's always clean, like 100%. So if you're drinking the water that's kind of contaminated, that, again, the quality of the water that you're drinking might not be as good. So maybe you should look for a different source. Like the bottled water is also like not the best because of the plastic. However, perhaps you want to find a different source of the water that you're drinking to make sure what you're putting inside your body actually reflects your needs. Another thing we do, you said no supplements. That's good. We do supplement some things, but it's more about how available are the nutrients in the food or the supplements that you're consuming. Because you can take a vitamin C that has 5,000 grams, but if your body, because of how easy to absorb, how bioabsorbable it is, if you can absorb only like 100 or 200 grams out of 5 grams of the vitamin C that you're eating, they can say whatever they want on the bottle, but it's about how easily your body can absorb it and how easily your body can use it. Because it doesn't matter what they say, it matters what you can actually absorb. So again, if you want to supplement, choosing the right supplements would be the next step.
100%.
And then again, the food that you're eating, what you put in, that's how your body is going to process it. So if you choose poorly, then you will have poor energy, low energy. You might feel tired. So you eat, but you feel tired. You eat, but you don't feel full. Two things that I do is like the meal that I eat, how long I am not hungry for. This is also for me, it's a signal whether I ate correctly or not. So if I ate a meal and I'm hungry after an hour, that wasn't very valuable meal for me. Like I usually eat twice, maybe 3 times a day. And that works for me good. For other people, it won't work. They need to eat more. But I tried eating many times. It's like 5 times a day, and that wasn't working good for me. So I started going down, and that would work for me better.
100%.
So again, it's very hard to say like one recipe or one solution for everyone. I think everybody has to kind of understand just what the nutritions are, how you absorb them, how our body absorbs those nutrition, and then go from there. Also, like I want to share one more interesting fact about the coffee, because I do believe that a lot of people are watching do drink a lot of coffee.
Right.
If you do, try not to drink it for at least an hour after you wake up. So don't let the coffee be the first thing that you drink. If you want to feel something except for the taste of the coffee and actually want to feel that it does something to your body, you will see a significant difference if you wait at least an hour before drinking the coffee.
Yep.
That's number one. And number two, to realize how we can say actually how addicted you are to the coffee and how much does the coffee affect you really. Try to give it away for like a week or two, ideally for 3 weeks, and then drink 1 cup and see how you feel. Like I've done this so many times. Like it's amazing how we get used to some products and we don't feel the effect of it. And that will apply also to like nutrition plans. Like if we forget about something or we get used to it, we don't see or don't feel the negative or the positive effect that it can have on our body. And that's super, super important in my case. Also, like for those who are interested, I'm going to drop also info to my wife. If somebody wants to talk about nutrition or dietetics, feel free. Like she can give you some like actually her opinion or her point of view. So also feel free to comment. However, overall, yeah, those will be like my advices to everyone. Just monitor what you eat. You don't have to be super strict, but just be aware of what you're putting inside your body and like what fuels you. That'll be my like takeaway from today's life. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. Awareness is key. There's somebody who I follow pretty regularly is Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
And so one of the things he talks about is wait 60 to 90 minutes before consuming coffee after waking up. But like right away, as soon as you can, drink 16 to 32 ounces of water with a little bit of salt. I've been doing that pretty regularly. It does a couple things for me. Your body sweats and loses moisture and salts overnight. So like I drink a quart of water. On my Instagram feed, I do a video of me dumping salt into water and mixing it with a spoon. It's every day. I start off like literally the first thing I do when I get out of bed, go down, drink a quart of water with about a half a teaspoon of salt in there. And that gets me going in the morning, and that gets me 1 quart closer to my gallon for the day. And then, yeah, wait and drink coffee 69 minutes later. There's a lot you can do with nutrition. There's a lot of information on the internet. The biggest key that I think that I want people to take away is the simple fact that nutrition, in order to be a better engineer, nutrition has to be a part of the conversation. Whatever it is for you, there's a number of different ways you can do it. Everyone has an opinion on what the best way is, myself and you included. The key is to find a way that works for you. Find the best fuel to fuel your biological machine and be aware, because when you do that, the key and the impact that it has on your brain is fantastic. You begin to think clear. You begin to process information better. You talk better, process your emotion better. Everything gets better when you take care of your body. It all starts with the body. So if you're watching this live, hashtag live. If you're watching this on a replay, I want you to hashtag replay. If you are watching this and you want to support the Evolution Engineering Evolved podcast, please go visit our LinkedIn page. It's important that for us that we get 500 followers so we can start doing this live there. That's the long-term goal. And always reach out to engineeringevolved.com. Pavel and I have our information there, and you can reach out for any kind of help or guidance that you're looking for. I've got a concert to go to for one of my kids tonight, Pavel. Eat healthy, eat clean, drink some water. Make sure you try and get in your gallon a day. And as always, Pavel, fantastic episode number 8. If anybody has questions, please reach out. This is a giant subject. But Pavel and I have both been around the block and would love to help out if anybody has questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.